welcome to each one of you once again to our podcast, Aashayein Beyond Work. Well, the uniqueness of this podcast is no secret. Still, the secret to being busy at giving back actively is revealed in small doses by each of our special guests. Well, today we have a double dose, right, Santosh? Yes, we do. Just introducing our next guests, who are a couple. Ashish and Sarika Pherwani, welcome to our show. Ashish and Sarika are both based in Mumbai, chartered accountants, both of them chartered accountants by qualification. Ashish is a consultant with one of the big four, and Sarika is a banker. Now, what is unique about them and why are they on our podcast? Well, they both helped set up a school called Bal Nandanvan Nisarg Shala in Dahanu. Not today, but way back in 2007. Well, this school caters to children of below the poverty line background parents who would otherwise not have an opportunity to study. I mean, how lovely is that? But for me, what really, really impacted me was the fact that it's been 16 years since they started, and you can see how young they look. So, not the usual age when people start giving back actively. So, I'd like to know the secret, or you to reveal the secret to our listeners. Over to you, Sarika and Ashish.
So I think we started way back. I think we were both married for about 2 to 3 years at that time. And we both been pretty fortunate. We've had a good education and we started doing well in life. And we always wanted to do something about that, so that others have the same kind of, opportunity. So initially we were working, not working, but we were supporting a local orphanage in where we stayed in Worli, and trying to teach the kids English. It was really started from there, and then one day we realized that the kids were coming there, they were studying till the 10th standard, some passed, some failed, but whatever happened, they just were thrown out of that school after they reached the 10th standard and cleared it, or they reached the age of 18, whichever happened first. And therefore, we went to the trustees and kind of asked them that, what's going on over here? What's the future for these kids? And they said, ye Chopalpatti se aaye hain aur papas wahi jayenge. So why should we take any efforts? But that was really kind of a moment where we said, what's the point, right? This is just not working. Why don't we do something ourselves? And that's really how we took the first step into this, because I think both of us have always believed that it's very important that people get that opportunity to study. And from there, that's how we eventually ended up finding a school that met our requirements, and then we took it up and really supported it since then. And today that school is it has about 500 students, out of which over 150 or so are girls, and 350 odd would be boys. They're all below poverty line. And interestingly, they are the first people in their entire families to ever get educated. So no one in their family has been educated. They're the first ones. And since 2007, we've been running, and we've now had, we started with the first standard, then we took the second, then we took the third, then we took the fourth. And now we've had, over the last 5 or 6 years, all the batches clearing the 10th standard. And by doing that, I think what we've tried to, and what we had set out to achieve, and thanks to God, we're able to do it, is we're able to get people who would never, ever get educated now have an education. And many of them have moved on from there, become nurses or engineers or, mechanics or whatever it is, and now have broken that chain of poverty. Because earlier on, they would go back to their, they were children of migrant labor, most of them. So they would go back to farms and start working from the age of 12 or 13 on a daily wage basis. Now they all are getting jobs. And I think that's really a big change in their lives. So that's what we set out to achieve, and that's what we're trying to keep doing every year. And fortunately, thank God, we're having a good, almost 100% of the students who appear for the 10th standard clear the exam and go forward. So that's really the focus. That's what we try to achieve.
And that's absolutely, yeah, carry on. Yeah.
What Ashish just said, when we started off in 2007, that was the 60th year of India's independence. And just step back and see this place is approximately 3 hours drive from Mumbai, the financial capital of our country. And here are a set of families that have not even been literate in these 60 years.
True.
So we thought that this was a great place to start working. And that's how we chose the school and the location.
Okay. Before we talk about BNN school, the activities, the people around, you mentioned that, you guys were working anyways with an institution in Mumbai whilst you were working, right? And one of the key objectives of BeyondWork, our show, is that we have a lot of people, our listeners, who are working, but they always say we don't have the time. Oh, it's just that weekend. We have so much of other work to do and catch up with a lot of other things, etc., etc. But here we have a couple, 2 or 3 years into a marriage, and working together and also doing so much for the society. How did this thought come of going and even teaching English to these kids? And how did you actually manage to get time? It's equally important, right? That because you've got to give time to it, right? That must have been because you both were professionally busy as well, even then. So how did you manage that?
So both of us firmly believe that one thing that God has given equally to all of us is the same 24 hours. So whether you're rich, poor, industrialist, student, working, each one of us has the same 24 hours. So when someone tells me they don't have the time, I don't really believe them. It's a matter of priorities. And Ashish and I both come from families with working parents. Both our moms and dads have been working and supporting education and giving back to community. So that is something that came to us very naturally. And we said, rather than taking on something big, let's at least do our bit over weekends. And since this NGO was just across where we lived, it just became that much more easier. Education is a great impactor, multiplier. So that's another cause that we thought was worth supporting.
And it helps if the husband and the wife, or both the people in the family, in the marriage, want to do it. If one person wants to do it and the other doesn't, it's not going to be that easy. But I think fortunately both of us,
our values match.
Objective,
and, that's where we chose this cause together.
Okay. So coming to BNN, the school, right? Is there any particular reason you thought of a village belt like where you thought of that this was the right place to be, that where we start in Maharashtra? How did you, even the population, the literacy rates, etc. Did you guys do some research, or how did it happen? The initial days of the school.
very long and very strange story. So our house used to be a collection center for goons. It still is, right? So people, from South Bombay come and leave their old clothes, which then get recycled and sent to small villages. So one of the goons people said, your house is being used. Why don't you come and see us even distribute it? So we said, okay, let's go. And we went one Sunday and we're watching the distribution when we saw there was a little shack, a little, it had 4 little pillars and a thatched roof. And there was a guy there and he was teaching something like 10, 12 children. So we went to him and we started talking with him, and he was a guy called Manoj. And he said that there are many villages here, but none of them is close to a school. So I've set this shack up and I come and teach all the students.
Wow.
So we really liked the project, right? He was doing something really great. So then we said, how can we help? So he said, in the monsoon, it's so much rain that I can't do school. So we said, we'll help you, build a permanent structure. So, between us, our parents, we got some friends to donate, and over the next 6 months or so, we got permission from the municipality, etc. We built a small little shed, a 2-room kind of school for him. And when at the inauguration of that school, a man came up to us, named Pratap Gaikwad. And he said, you're doing great work. Thank you so much. And I also have a school, which I'm running. And I'd like you to see it. And we were like, wow, I mean, who is this person? Never met him before, but he seemed very genuine. So we said, okay, we'll come back one day and look at it. And we went back to Bombay and completely forgot about the guy. All right. But he chased us and said, no, you must come and see my school. And so we went and we saw his school. And his school was set up which was the BNN, was set up on this fantastic premise that I'm going to educate for free children of migrant labor who otherwise cannot get educated because they end up working on the fields. And we saw what he had done. I remember he had, I think, 35, 40 students at that time. right? He had a 2-room school building, about 35, 40 students on rented land, which he had taken from one of the local guys, farmers. And we just really loved the project. And then for the next year or so, we kept coming, visiting, helping out in some ways. And then actually catastrophe struck, because what happened is that the people in that area, the politician in the area which he was in, kind of said that, if you're going to sit and educate all these kids, they won't need, my support when they grow up. So he went and gave a notice to Pratap Gaikwad saying, shut your school, right? And Pratap Gaikwad said, fine, let the year end and I'll shut my school. So it started from there. And then we said, let's see if we can help him, set up the school somewhere else. And we were struggling. We couldn't find anyone to rent us land to set up school. If the guy was willing to rent the land, it was agricultural and therefore a building couldn't be built on it. And we were really struggling when on his own, a gentleman farmer, Chikku plantation guy came to us for Kaiser. And he said, I've heard that you guys are looking for a school. Please come and set up your school on my land. I'll give it to you for free. And so we literally dismantled the school from one location and reset it up in another place.
In 48 hours.
In 48 hours. All right. And the school continued there for almost, I think, 3 years on that guy's land. He was, I think, God just helped us by, he approached us. We were struggling. We were on the point of, just saying, let it go. We can't handle this. I went and met the local politician. Sarika went and met the local politician. He refused to let it. So we went to another place where outside the remit of this guy and, set up the school again. So, I mean, it's a long and pretty convoluted story. But I think God just kept helping,
And then what really kept us to it is when the parents, when we confronted the parents and said, listen, this is beyond us now. We cannot manage. They said, we don't mind you taking our kids to any part of India, but please don't
shut the school.
Shut the school.
Wow.
That's when we thought we must do our bit. And we purchased the land and we've given it to the school on a 25-year lease to run it.
Amazing. I mean, what a story. Yeah. It's like, all the twists and turns and things like that. And, as I was listening to what Ashish was saying, and he said, God kept helping us, there is a saying, unseen virtues bring visible rewards, right? So the thought in your hearts, right? The feeling of service or the feeling of being of help to someone, who's completely, couldn't see help from any quarter. I think that's what kept coming, right? And good fortune is always by your side, and we are really happy about that, because we could so many of our listeners will be able to hear this story as well. I will go back a bit again to the start, which is that you also started a family post that, and as a couple, I mean, Ashish was saying that as a couple, if both of you are like-minded, but then that means both of you had to also travel there, I guess regularly, and with the kids, and how was that? Tell us a bit about that journey, because people listening to the show, and I bet if my husband was here and we were both of us looking at each other like, हाँ बोलना तो सही है. I mean, you can just say that, but actually doing it. So tell us how you did it.
Yeah, so we got blessed with twins, and that itself was handful. So we said, till now, just the two of us. So we drag the twins in it. So literally, there would be, we would leave on Saturday mornings to visit the school and take stock of the construction and the progress and all. And we would bundle them up. I think the first time they visited the school, they were just about 5.5 months. Okay, so we just bundled them up, put them in the back of our Zen and drove. And they have no recollection of all that. But, as you rightly said, that when you try giving something, you get a lot more. So our kids who are now about approximately 16 years old have grown up in that school. There came a time when they would get something as a return gift when they went to one of their friends' parties, and they would say, let's not open it, let's send it to the Hanu school.
Wow.
Because they said, this is something that we get, but they have not seen it. And then, they started talking about it even in their school. And for them, it just became a way of life.
Hmm.
And I remember when I had gone on one of the visits to, supervise the construction, and my kids would just say, "Bye, mom, pick me up when you're done with all your meetings." And while I was walking around, I just saw that my kids would just go and sit with the other children under a tree or in a classroom. And I heard my child scream. I just went and saw what was it. The other child from the school told me, "Don't worry, it was just a snake." So, forget anybody else. I just said, "What is going on?" And they said, "We are, middle of a jungle, but it was a
Yeah.
harmless snake, and we've taken care of your daughter. It's gone, and we are back to school." So, here in Mumbai, when we send our kids down to play, we put a Odomos patch
Yeah.
for mosquitoes. In our school, we keep anti-venom.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
and as regards making the time, this actually helps avoiding work over the weekend. So if someone comes, yes, people used to say, "Oh, we must work this weekend, or we have to do this important planning meeting and all." I said, "I'm sorry, I have a school to run. Bye bye." So actually, it helps you maintain a work-life balance. So it's actually
Absolutely.
how you handle it. If you really want to do it, I think you can make the time.
And even during festivals, the children have also learned that when you have to gift, it doesn't need to be something materialistic. So whoever knows us or comes to us, visit us during festivals, they know the best gift they can give us is something for the school.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But
So-
God forbid they come into our sites, because we attack them, except physically, in every other form of possible attack to help with the school.
So
So
that's
yeah.
something, that's how we've involved the children as well, because they talk about it to their friends. And sometime around 2015, my children's friends set up a fun fair for the children in the Hanu school,
Wow.
just to showcase all the things that we thought that urban children know of and would be a delight for these children. And they set up something like a fun fair that went on for 3-4 hours. Just when we were wrapping up, you won't believe, the school children had in turn kept a surprise activities for them. And these kids learned so many new games that they had never even read or heard about. So, it was, even the children connect at their own level. And I would say that I'm pleased as a mother that they do not take many things for granted, including the education that they get.
So Ashish, and so I just wanted to know, when running a school must not be an easy job, right? Sarika and Ashish, it's not easy. Yeah, when you set it up, it was initial days, brick by brick, and things happened luckily and went in your favor. And now it's so many years. How easy or rather difficult and challenging is when it comes to running a school, and more so from a financial standpoint?
So I think running a school is challenging because they are children. It's far away. You can't just hop over if something has gone wrong, right? And I think you've been very fortunate on 2 or 3 aspects. One is Mr. Pratap Gaikwad, the guy who started the school.
Yeah.
Very good guy. He's been there. He's there even today. As we record this, he stays there. It's his life's passion, and we are very lucky to find a project with someone so passionate who's leading it. Second thing, what we did is we kind of wove the community in. So we said, let's hire more local teachers, right? We didn't want someone coming from Mumbai, A, because they don't understand the local Marathi dialect spoken there. But B, when the community starts benefiting in a more 360-degree fashion from the project, they're more bought into it, right? So all the teachers over time, we went out and said, if there's anyone who's a B.Ed, we want that person to come and teach. And first you had 1, and then 2, and then 3, and now almost, I think, no, now all of them are local B.Eds that we have over there. We've not had to bring in anyone for quite a while. And then I think the third thing is that everything that we did, whether we were building the building and buying steel or cement or sand or water or whatever, or painting it, or, the cook, the driver of the bus that goes to pick and drop kids, I think all that employment was actually created. All the food that we buy is, of course, sourced locally from the local grocery shops, etc. So I think getting it infused into the local thing was very, very helpful as well. As regards the money, it's always a challenge, right?
Mm.
So even I think till today, most of the funding comes from us and our parents, and very little from outside. We've had 2 or 3 very good donors. Roundtable India is someone who supported us. They fund infrastructure. So the entire school buildings, which have been built over 3 or 4 phases, they've funded that. We've had a number of banks come in and do smaller projects like solar or building the toilet blocks or, donating some computers or laptops or, stuff like that. So like I said, if you come into our sites, we'll probably touch you for a donation or some kind of thing for that. It seriously reduces our friend circle, but I think it's worth it in the longer run.
And
Yeah.
also, when we talk about it, people do share contacts. Like
Yeah.
we ran the school at a particular level, say, making sure everything is set and children pass out 10 standard. Then we
Yeah.
saw that, touch wood, every year we are getting 100% pass out rate. We said, okay, now time to upgrade the school. So, which is
Yeah.
why then we just December 2022 introduced vocational.
Okay.
So it's not just about financial support. We are also looking for people to come and spend time, give us ideas, connect us to people. There are many ways in which one can associate with the school.
So on that note, Sarika or Ashish, one of you, if there's an email or some contact of yours that people can reach you at, possibly now is the time to give it out, and we can run it as a, Santosh and I were discussing
Yeah.
that we run it as a ticker during the, when we actually broadcast this. So do you want to do that right now?
Yes, please. So it's sarikapherwani@gmail.com.
And whatever kind of help anyone wants to give, whether it's just to come and play with the kids, spend time with them, teach them something. Only thing is, it is far. And if you leave at like 7 in the morning, you'll only come back at around 7 in the evening, and you'd probably get 3-4 hours at best at the school. So it's a long
So this
drive.
is in Dahanu, right? This
Yeah.
is in Dahanu.
It's about 8 kilometers before Dhanu, and it's really in the interior. So, it takes a while getting there. But that's why the school is needed there.
Yeah.
Right.
Agree.
Yeah, because
Yes.
that's where school infra is poor. And again, like I said, these are children who live there in effect because they're children of migrant labor. So if they didn't have a permanent residence, they'd be on the fields doing stuff,
And not getting educated.
right? So that's why you need the school infra over there.
True. So Ashish and Sarika, you mentioned a little while before that, this school that is now run is all the village community, and there's an ecosystem around it. Can you share some of the insights, some of the experiences that you've come across in your this journey in with BNN, and what kind of students have come up, in life for our listeners?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we were building the school, we had a set of laborers who were employed by a local contractor. Because we had a good quality construction, we chose to invite them 2 years ago to build the next level. And while I was visiting the school, one of the workers, the laborers, actually approached me and said, Didi, you had told all of us that we could enroll our children in the school. So my daughter is in your school. So I said, wow, that's lovely. Can you introduce me to your daughter? And he just turned around and said, your English and computer teacher is my daughter.
Wow.
Right. I mean, it's so amazing that her dad is just a manual day laborer, and
Yeah.
she's now gone through the school and done it. And with many stories, many kids have actually gone forward and are working with some of the industries around Dhanu, or they are themselves. A couple have come back as teachers to the school, like this girl, right? And others are, they may be working in agriculture, but they are doing tube well repairs or cycle repairs or pump repairs or things like that, where they're not doing the manual labor anymore, but they're doing better stuff and helping more farms in that area. So I think it's fascinating. I don't think all of them, break the cycle of poverty, but as far as I think we know, a large part do. And I think that's still worth it, right? I mean, at least we're changing so many lives. And
and more importantly, as you mentioned, this is, when you guys went to Dahanu for the first time, that generation was not even having access to education, which over the years has been a tremendous transition. And then now you have these kids who whose parents have been working as laborers for construction of a school, but at the same time, she's not just an ordinary teacher, she's an English and a computer teacher. I think that's an amazing success story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, in fact, it's very cool because when we go for, say, Republic Day or whatever, you know, that entire locality is tribal, right? So it's Warli and Katkari and tribes like that. And,
Yeah.
you know, even the Marathi is something which I find it difficult to
Very
understand.
different.
It's a different dialect of Marathi. But every year when you go, there's always this one student who will have written and then will read out an essay in proper English.
Oh,
And,
wow.
you know, about the occasion, whether it's Independence Day or whatever it is. And that essay, actually, the whole school applauds that, because that, you know, that's a symbol that, you know, we made a transition from, it is still a very, very much Marathi medium school. But the fact that you can speak English completely properly, I think that's a big shift, which
Yeah.
nobody would have believed, you know, and we have a lot of people to thank for that, you know, because we have teachers who live in Dhanu, which is, like I said, 8 kilometers away, who spend their time on weekends, and they're from very good schools, co-ed, you know, convent schools. There's a lot of good schools in Dhanu. So they come and we get them into our school, and they teach over weekends. So, you know, it takes a lot of effort to make that change, but at the end, when it pays off, it just feels so good out there.
Absolutely. So, you know, there must be challenges also from the fact that, you know, you mentioned that some of these kids probably are working as on their farms or whatever local businesses their parents have. How is it in terms of timings that they attend this school, and how is it that you all manage with along with the weekends when you have a guest lecturer probably in that school? How is that working out?
The what we realized is, since it's a free of cost school,
Yeah.
if the laborers' children, the laborers loves to send their children to school and leave them with us, right? Because they don't have to then feed that child for the day, right?
Yeah.
Which is a big thing for them. And plus, you know, I mean, what we notice is when the kids come in, the first standard, they're 5 or 6 years old, right? When they come to school, they are so not used to eating food that the first 1 week, they just stuff themselves at all the meal times until they burst and fall ill. You know, I mean, they just so starved. Then over a period, you know, then they start moderating. They realize I'm getting 3 meals a day, right? So it's never actually been a problem to get students to attend the school. The problem really is we have to say no to a lot of them because we run out of money, right? Because every child has a certain cost that, you know, in terms of food, in terms of books, in terms of, you know, education, medical, blah, blah. I mean, there's a lot of costs over there. So it's never been a problem to get people to come to our school, right? And now, after so many years, when all the children are passing, right, the 10th standard, which is not the case with other municipal schools in the area, right? They have a 20, 30, 40% pass rate. We have a 100% nearly pass rate, right? I think in the last 10 years, maybe one student hasn't passed, right? In our school. That's it. Every other student has passed. So now the demand for the school is only going up. In effect, because they're saying that we put our kid at least 10th standard, pass ho jayega type of thing, you know. So that's not a problem at all. And because of the extreme poverty, they just love it that the kids are getting meals. I mean, you can see our children and other children who don't come to the school. You just put them side by side, you'll see a stark difference in health.
Wow.
Right? I think that's the biggest change apart from the education. It's just the sheer health, because those kids are literally starving out there. One meal a day, whatever you can catch in the forest, kind of thing. While our kids are getting breakfast, lunch, dinner, you know, proper meals through the day. And I think that really makes a big impact.
So that's what Sarika mentioned right in the beginning, that just 3 hours away from a metropolis, a financial capital, or whatever you say, the biggest income tax distributor or giver of India. And what a stark difference. Just 3 hours away, even 1 square meal is not assured for that child, right?
Yeah.
So that's extremely distressing when you hear about it. And thanks to you guys, you have made that effort where not just education, but the school is also taking care of their meals, which is more important in a way they come for, right? Yes. And eventually the education is in a way maybe secondary, but now it has been a part and parcel of their life.
Yeah. No, it's the next evolutionary step. The immediate impact is health, right? And when the kids come back, you know, I mean, when the parents come to, you know, see them, they're like, wow, the kids' health has improved. And then now they're seeing that, yeah, they're no longer coming back to work on the fields, for daily wages of $150 or $120 or whatever is the daily wage over there, right?
Yeah.
And now they're getting jobs at a
Hmm.
few thousand a month starting,
Hmm.
right? And that is such a big shift for them. They are all so proud when that happens. You know, the kid gets a job and it's not as a daily wage laborer, it's a huge thing for the entire family. Like it will be the first job in the family type of thing. You know,
Imagine.
so it's quite cool because you're seeing that impact happening in real time. And
Yeah.
now,
So
after this year onwards, when the vocational will kick in, we are hoping that that takes off and puts the kids into the next level because they'll be more skilled now and hopefully they'll get even better jobs.
and what is that vocational curriculum or syllabus that has been thought of and been implemented?
So our government has introduced something called as IBRT, which is Introduction to Basic Rural Technology. So under that, we've chosen 2 or 3 subjects. So the first one is how to use farm equipment and do a self-farming. So even if these children go back and decide to come together as a self-help group, that is something they can do. Then we got a feedback that in that area, the school is on the cusp of Maharashtra and Gujarat. There are a lot of these cold storage industries. So they need technicians for that.
Okay.
And similarly for a lot of luxury buses. So mainly AC maintenance, but not the residential ones, even the commercial and the industrial variety. So that's something that they're taking up. And the third one is carpentry, and to an extent, like Ashish mentioned, these are all dirt roads. So they use a lot of cycle repairs and all. If you told me what would a cycle repair person do in Mumbai, I would say, yeah, there's no road to ride a cycle. But there, everything is run on by a cycle. So cycle repair person only has that much more importance.
Right, right. That's so true. That's so true. And I think, the one statement that came to me was the gift keeps on giving, right? And as more and more children get educated and, give back to their village as well, I think it's like this will just continue. And we do hope that, some of our listeners, after listening to this podcast, will surely come to give more actively with you and will reach out to you. But before we close, I had one question, which was, what is the one message that you would like to give out to the world at large?
Go for it.
Yeah. So as I said earlier, don't use your laziness as an excuse not to give back. Okay. You will find time if you believe in the purpose. And there are many ways in which you can give back. The school is one of the many causes. And today, thanks to technology and all the facilities that we in the metros have, it's very easy to reach out. So take the effort, take the time, and make the difference.
Oh, wow. That's really, really nice. Ashish, anything you'd like to add to that?
I think that's right. And you just feel a lot happier. You feel you've done something worth it.
Right.
Life's a lot more than going to office. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
We can see you both happy people.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, man.
Keep spreading the happiness, knock on wood. To that, thank you so much for your time and for sharing such valuable, information. And I guess it's also about spreading the happiness in a way. The happiness that you guys are, possibly receiving from this, hopefully that will spread. And as I said, our listeners will come together to share in that happiness. Santosh?
Absolutely. In fact, it's, for us, maybe Dahanu is that one place where things have started and have developed over the years. But think about across the country, there may be so many such places, so many such villages, where you need that kind of support. And I'm sure many of our listeners listening pan India would, think about it and, get that kind of motivation, I would say, to start a school or some kind of an activity to begin with, which helps in the development. Because, right, as we say, right, India in the next decade is on the cusp of that huge development. But if that India story has to happen, then the rural population also equally has to earn, right? And that also adds to a lot of kind of impetus to the development of a nation. Thank you so much, Ashish and Sarika, for joining us on this episode of BeyondWork.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And good luck.
Bye-bye.